I just got off the phone with Ruth Porat, who of course talked about how this is a broad-based recovery, but in talking about, what changes in behavior will actually last, is this the beginning of something big? She said, we think it's too early to forecast the extent to which changes in consumer behavior and ad spend will endure. The pace of recovery is very different around the world. What's your take on what we're seeing in these results?
Yeah, the results are really strong, Emily, and I think that was a very conservative response. The numbers really blew out what was expected, and there was a significant, I think it was about $11 billion beat on the ad business. We're starting to see recoveries across multiple sectors. We're starting to see companies raising spend in advertising, and that's what's bringing it back. It's not just the industries that have been strong historically through the pandemic, but we're starting to see things like travel and hospitality come back. I think if you've been out a little bit, I traveled this past weekend and you're seeing busier hotels. You can't get a rental car. There's a lot of momentum going on. And that, of course, is going to fuel spend for growth. So I think as a whole in the ad business, it's a little conservative outlook, but I think it's, the company, Google doesn't really, or Alphabet doesn't really do guidance. And so I think that's probably the safest response, especially in case this momentum doesn't continue or there's any setbacks due to the pandemic. But overall, the ad business was really strong. And the cloud business was another area that I think everybody's eyes were on, Emily. We saw last quarter, first time reporting the details of it. This quarter, it broke just over $4 billion in revenue. But what I was really looking for there was the narrowing of the losses. Just a year ago, it had seen about 1.7 billion in losses. This quarter, it actually dropped those losses to just below $1 billion. So while Thomas Kurian and the team there are aggressively sort of buying and acquiring business at a loss at this point, making investments, expanding data center, hiring, we are seeing those narrow, and that should give some encouragement that within the next few quarters, Google Cloud could see a profit as well.
Well, then in terms of when the cloud gets to profitability, if that will be a priority in the near future, she said they're going to continue to invest. That cloud is going to be one area where they continue to see a big market opportunity. They're still going to be doubling down there. And also in headcount as well as real estate. Even though we've been in this hybrid mode, remote work mode for a year, they're starting to call employees back to the office. They're building out new buildings across the United States and around the world. Do those investments concern you?
No, I think Google, they're looking at AWS, they're looking at Azure. Obviously, we saw their 50% growth today. That's the competition Google sees. They want to be numerically in that same ballpark, 8, 10, $12 billion a quarter. So I believe with the bottom line results, we saw the blowout on EPS for Google. They see this as very strategic. They see a long-term path to growth, and that if it takes a little bit longer to get to profitability, that investors should stick by the company, as it's not looking to grow incrementally or in small volume. The team there is looking for its results to be on par with those bigger cloud players. And if it takes some more quarters to get there, more investment, more hiring, more real estate, I think that's the path. I think number 3 isn't the objective of Google or Alphabet in any category in which it competes.